Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you have heard that the president ordered every federal agency in America to stop using one of the most advanced AI systems on Anthropic. And it wasn't because it didn't work, it was because the company that built it said no to the Pentagon. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, one of the top AI models in the world, they drew their line in the sand and they were firm on it. No mass surveillance of Americans, no autonomous weapons, and the government's response, well, we're going to blacklist you.
Mm.
And if you think this doesn't affect your business, think again.
You're listening to the AI Convergence Podcast, presented by Box AI, where AI, business, and mindset converge.
Welcome to the AI Convergence Podcast, where AI, mindset, and business converge. I'm Matt Aponte.
And I'm Michael DeVue.
And today we are covering the biggest AI story currently of 2026.
Which is, we'll say the same thing every week because every week it's the biggest story because it's changing that fast every single time.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about this before starting recording about how do we stay relevant when the news that happens in this sandbox is constantly shifting and changing so fast. It makes it almost challenging we'd be recording every day, twice or three times a day.
Oh, yeah.
To keep up with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we don't record and then turn it around the next day and post it. So we're trying to, that's why you're hearing about this now, maybe a couple of weeks after it actually happened. But it's still going on. And because I went to the future and I checked, still talked about.
Yes. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
That's in the behind the scenes podcast.
The AI goes to the future.
So yeah, I guess let's go ahead and jump into it. So what is it that happened? Do you want to kind of riff on that?
So last summer, the Pentagon awarded AI contracts, as it would, worth up to $200 million to each of the four companies: Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, DeepMind, and then of course Elon Musk's XAI. The goal was to prototype a frontier of AI capabilities for national security, not for your security. National security. If you
two different things,
very different things. And if you're not aware of the difference between national security and personal security, your individual security, please make sure you understand when they talk national security, it's not about making sure you and I and our homes and our businesses are safe. It's really about something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. So Anthropic, Claude, that was the first AI model cleared for use on the military's classified networks. And the Pentagon considered it to be the most advanced and secure model for sensitive applications. And it still is, by the way. Anthropic was already working with the military, and this wasn't an anti-military company. But they had two conditions in their contract, and they're called red lines. Claude cannot be used for mass surveillance of American citizens, and Claude cannot be used in fully autonomous weapon systems. And well,
The Pentagon pushed back.
yeah, the Pentagon.
The Pentagon pushed back as they want the ability to use AI models for all of their lawful purposes, lawful, unethical, immoral. We don't know.
Yeah.
It really depends, who's behind pushing those buttons, right? Without restrictions set by the company, right? Their position is the government, not a private company, should decide what's appropriate. Well, it's like you and me getting to decide I get to use my AI for my purposes, but it's impacting other people, right? If it goes outside of my personal bubble and starts impacting other people, there's a responsibility there. And the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, met with Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei at the Pentagon and gave him a deadline of 5:01 p.m. Friday, drop the restrictions or face consequences.
501.
Who says that?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get a spanking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pardon my French, quote unquote, but this just seems to me like a lot of big dick swinging, especially with who we have in office right now. It seems to be a lot of that stupid shit. So about an hour before the deadline, President Trump posted on Truth Social I am directing every federal agency in the United States government to immediately cease all use of Anthropic's technology. And how do we do that? We don't need it. We don't want it. I can't do Trump.
Do Trump.
And will not do business. I can do George Bush.
Yeah.
We don't need. No, wait. No, that was
Not
more
gonna
like
that.
Hillary. Yeah.
Not gonna do it.
Not gonna
We don't need it.
all my hair.
We don't want it. And we're not gonna do business with them again.
That makes sense.
No. No. ChatGPT's in. OpenAI Claude's out.
Cloud's out.
Fuck that Claude guy. He don't like us.
Now we're just Southern people on a porch. We got our guns and our rocking chairs. That Claude guy, never trusted him. Don't like him. Run him out of town.
I know that was it. Not like I went over like 10 different voices there.
Horrible. Don't judge us on this. Yeah, so they initiated an immediately cease all use of Anthropic technology. We don't need it. We don't want it. Was basically what he was saying. And then shortly thereafter, Pete Hegseth gave the supply chain risk to national security notification, a classification normally reserved for foreign adversaries.
Yeah.
Foreign adversaries like Chinese companies, right? So he designated Anthropic a supply chain risk to national security.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
And they just get to put these blanket statements and these
yeah.
brandish these things on companies. Or if they don't like you, suddenly you're out, and they could damage your business and damage your economics and damage your company. Like, they shouldn't have the right to do this.
It's fucking high school.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's not free market capitalism. The
No.
one thing they claim that they were behind 100%, that Trump says he really does support, that's not free market.
Yeah. Well, and then Elon, you know, like I've never been an Elon supporter, but I've never been anti-Elon. I'm just an observer. But he's like, he called Anthropic a company that hates Western civilization, right? Because of this. And so you can see like these.
But isn't that what Trump said about Elon when he crossed him? Isn't that able to say the exact same thing?
Maybe that's where he got it from. He's like, oh,
This is absurd.
I'm going to use that. Yeah.
So what was Anthropic's response to this?
Oh, I love it. It says no amount of intimidation or punishment from the Department of War will change our position on mass domestic surveillance or fully autonomous weapons. And they announced that they are taking the government to court. Hell yeah.
I think that's kind of a big FU.
Yeah.
And I'm all behind it.
I am too.
I'm canceling my subscription to OpenAI, by the way.
Yeah.
Which I'm sad about because I really like the interface and I've spent a lot of time in there. And that was one of the things I was talking to a friend about before, was with these kind of things happening where it keeps changing, I keep having to move my resources, my brain, my source of knowledge, my base of truth that I've already built around my businesses and export it to another AI. And they don't have that function or feature.
Yeah.
Don't you find that ironic?
Yeah.
The one thing you can't do is export everything easily in one, you could upload it to another. They make it hard to do that. So now I have to pull documents, pull summaries and everything and start all over again, but for now, I'm happy to be one of the frontline individuals doing that because I think that this is game changing. I think it's going to change the way we do business in our lives. And eventually this stuff is going to settle itself down.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to find a way.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that have kind of heard a little bit about it and haven't, hopefully this is giving you the details of what happened up until this point that you're listening to this. So basically on the same day, so listen, this is funny. On the same day, the government blacklisted the AI company that said no. It signed a deal with the AI company that said yes.
Yeah, so OpenAI, who said that they have the same red lines and the same care and concern as Anthropic, but they still did the deal.
Yep. I hope the people that are listening, and you've probably already drawn this conclusion if you've been following the news, you're really starting to see who Sam Altman is and, the people behind him.
Yeah.
You know who he reminds me of, who hasn't been in the news a whole lot lately is a Zuckerberg.
Quiet.
Yeah.
It's been quiet.
It's been very quiet, which could be concerning.
Well, and then this brings me to the it's our taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
You're spending. We have a right to say no. We have a right to say, hey, wait a minute, slow down.
Yeah.
You don't get to take our money and then do this, use this software, use this AI, whatever it is, and then try to autonomously listen to us, spy on us,
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So ChatGPT, Sam Altman says we're never running ads. Now they're running ads. They said, we got the same red lines as Anthropic.
Right.
Now they don't.
Nope.
Because that was a good opportunity. Because think about it, like if these people were smart, like Anthropic, OpenAI, um, could have banded together.
Yeah.
They have the most market capital.
Yeah.
They could have banded together and said, no, sorry, this is how it's supposed to be used.
Yeah.
And maybe that would have changed their mind.
The memes of OpenAI being Trump's bitch are going to come out. It's going to be like, I can imagine somebody asking OpenAI, how do you feel about your new daddy? And it's going to write its own. Its own.
Maybe we should start them ourselves.
We should
Let them go
down.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward.
Yeah.
It was a couple weeks when this one comes out. We'll say, we're foretelling the future.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's nuances there. The difference might be in the legal language between. So Sam Altman said OpenAI shares those red lines, but apparently the Pentagon accepted OpenAI's terms while rejecting Anthropic's. So if Anthropic's was basically for the people, right? And then the government accepted OpenAI's, what does that tell you about OpenAI's?
Yeah.
Right?
We'll sell you out.
Yeah, they're a sellout.
Yeah, they're a sellout.
And the difference might be in the legal language, or it might be in who has friends in that administration. Because that's another thing too, right? Like they could have just because they said no and they held their line, they could have come back around. Sam Altman be like, hey, look, because we're bros, let's just adjust this a little bit here and whatnot. And so I guess unless it comes out or has come out, the legal language of that, I don't know that it exactly says that OpenAI is going to allow them to use it for these things, but I mean, why wouldn't it? Like I don't know.
My concern is once they're in, like you had mentioned before, once it's set up and running and once the systems are in, how do you scrape and scrub it out? If the administration changes and the next administration that comes in says, we're not doing this, do they still work with OpenAI or do they go, Claude, you're up next. We're going to scrape everything, wipe the system and bring in a whole new AI?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's very concerning for me because it's just, I don't understand the logistics of how such a move could be made and what it's going to cost us again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I've built platforms where we built it on OpenAI's API. Then later on down the road, we moved it because we wanted Claude or Anthropic's API. And it wasn't just a switch. I mean, it's a lot of underlying infrastructure that has to be built. And we're talking on, one platform,
Yeah,
right?
one business, one platform.
Exactly.
Right.
So it would be a major pain in the ass. So let's bring this back to we're not political here. Let me just get that straight. We are not a political podcast. And that's not the intent of this. But I want to bring it down to the business owners who are listening. What does this mean for you? So let's kind of connect the geopolitics to our audience's world.
Okay, so a former Pentagon AI policy author called this a needless dispute. Anthropic was already doing everything that the military had asked. That this is about the future theoretical use, not current operations, right? And Georgetown security experts said there are no winners in this fight, in this battle. If the U.S. government decides to push away its best AI companies, the winner is China.
Yeah, it's China. Yeah, and that's a little concerning. Also, what is it? What's China's OpenAI leading model?
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek. That is already the usage. Now I don't know if that's American usage, but I just saw the other day the adoption rate of that is growing at a disturbing rate. And again, I don't know if that's the Asian companies, people where it's growing, or if that's also in America. But you can kind of see that if people there's a couple things that are happening here. DeepSeek is less expensive. It's basically open source. You can download it on your computer. They have versions of it. You can do a lot more with it, right? So that barrier to doing what you want to do is much lower compared to, Anthropic, Gemini, and OpenAI. Then if you have people here in America who are getting tired of all this BS that's going on with the government and whatnot, then they're like, screw it, I don't really care if China, knows about my personal life or whatever. It's a better model or it's just as good or whatever. And so, yeah, then the winner is China. For me, I don't build anything, uh, you know, on their models, because it says clearly in their terms that that information can be used for the government, is accessible by the government. But then we have the supply chain risk designation, and that's potentially devastating, not for just Anthropic's government business, but for any company that works with both Anthropic and the Pentagon. So that's defense contractors, consulting firms, tech companies. They may all have to choose sides.
What they said, they did the same thing with TikTok when they had
Yep.
insisted they were a supply chain risk to America's national they call it a national security risk.
Yep.
So they haven't reached that designation
Yep.
yet, right? But I mean, he's slapping on labels left and right, and anytime he wants to. What happens to a company's revenue, bank accounts, resources, everything if they get slapped with a moratorium or they get slapped with, a national security risk designation?
Yeah. So, one of the last notes here, Senator Mark Warner warned this could undermine the willingness of the U.S. private sector and academia to work with intelligence commodity and the DoD.
I mean, isn't that what he went on his platform about? We work with these companies. Like,
Yeah.
we're the biggest pro company, administration. And here they are. If you don't get along with us, we'll blacklist you and ruin your business. I mean, businesses are just going to stay away, not
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yep. So here's a thought, but this isn't all, and we're going to get into that next, but should you care? If the government can blacklist a $30 billion AI company overnight, what happens to the tools that you depend on?
Mhm.
What if the company behind your CRMs, your AI, your voice agent, your automation stack gets caught in political crossfire?
Yeah, your business runs on AI built companies that answer to investors and regulators, and now apparently the commander in chief, right? So if you don't have a plan B, you don't have a plan.
Yeah. So, but should you care? On to the next segment of our show.
It's always yes.
Yeah. No, we're gonna do a no.
We're gonna find a no.
We're gonna find
a no.
We're gonna find.
We'll dig one up.
We're like, no, you shouldn't care. Go ahead and turn it off. You don't need to listen anymore.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, if you're there's a couple sides to this. So should you care? Yes. Because if your business uses any tool, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or any of them, because the companies behind those tools are making decisions right now about ethics, government access, data policies that directly affect you. But let's bring in there what's now happening. What's this whole the new cancel culture? Who's it about? OpenAI.
Oh,
ChatGPT. Yeah.
oh, cancel. Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa, gosh, yes. I was like, who's getting hit now? The list is long and endless, but get in line. So yes, so apparently there's the hashtag cancel GPT, and everyone's getting on board. I'm going to do it. I'm going to cancel my GPT account because personally, if you're a company that on a whim of a president can literally tell the American people, we don't give a shit about you. We really care more about this contract.
Yeah.
I don't trust my data. I don't trust my information. I know it's already in there. I'm not being an idiot about this, but I don't want my subscription. I want you to have my money. I don't want you to have any more information at all now because I can't trust you to do what's right as a company, not what's right for the country but as a company. When you run a company, you have ethics about how you treat your employees. You have ethics and morals about how you run your business, about how you handle your clients and your customers.
Yep.
That should be very, very clear. And this decision is not customer first.
No. Well, here, like for me, it's just about the person, right?
Sam.
Yeah. You get not like I've ever I knew the guy, but like in relationships, you get to know somebody, they present themselves as a certain way, and then down the road they flip on you, or they're completely different, or they take another side without any real explanation. Well, that person can no longer be trusted in my book. You just can't be trusted, right? You say that you're going to do something. It's like my dad always taught me, if you don't have your word, you have nothing. And I don't deal with people who don't stand by their word.
Well,
Period.
I mean,
End of story.
go back to the late 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. If a company failed to be true to their word, they lost business.
Yep.
And it was real.
Yep.
We started demanding that companies keep to their word and be authentic. They would be canceled outright. And you saw that outlash. And I would be curious to see, based on this situation. Well, 1.5 million people have already canceled their subscriptions, supposedly, allegedly. But I'd be curious to see how far this goes.
Yeah.
With enough humans, enough Americans deciding that they're not going to trust this company and they can't
Yeah.
trust Sam Altman.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, I wish all of the consumer people that we all consume, I wish everybody understood that we are actually the ones that have the power, not the governments,
Yep.
not the corporations. And so if you don't want them to have all the power, well, then you just take it back. You don't buy into their products. You don't subscribe to their, ethos, their methodology. And, because we are the ones pulling from our pocket, putting into theirs. And if you don't do that anymore, they go out of business or they're forced to change.
Yeah.
And a perfect model or example of this is the whole plant-based, food culture, right?
Right.
Like, people stopped eating meat. People stopped eating, processed foods and bullshit. And not everybody, but it was a large enough amount of people to where these companies were like, oh shit,
Gotta listen.
we gotta start making organic stuff.
Yeah.
We gotta start pulling things out of the supply chain. We gotta start making plant-based meat, like all of this stuff. And we changed to where now we have options, right? And so, that whole thing happened. Like, let's talk about milk, right? You're not allowed to call a plant based milk, right?
Right.
Like only cow. Remember they had the whole thing. That's not milk, that kind of a thing. They had the milk commercials and all that.
The anti non-milk
Yeah,
people or
exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
So it's the same thing, and that's what's going to be happening here. And I am happy to hear and see that across the web on Reddit, things are going viral. Cancel ChatGPT, and yeah, I think that that it really needs to be that way. So before we move on to the last part, let's be very clear. This isn't about the left or right. It's about whether your AI business depends on what AI your business depends on can be turned off by someone else's decision. That's not a political question. That's a risk management question. And this is why I believe we will be moving to small language models, independent AI, where you control your AI, you download it onto your own system, your own computer, your own peripheral device. You train it with whatever it is that you want to train it on. Nobody can unplug it from you. Nobody can take it from you. It's already starting to happen. And I think that's where all of this is going to move to. And it's going to leave these large companies like Gemini, Anthropic, and ChatGPT and the government really, trying to figure shit out.
If anything, this is another lesson in smart business strategy. You think you're going to learn it all at once and then you launch your business and you don't have to learn it again. This is wonderful playground for us to understand in terms of business strategy, how to be smart about the decisions we make with our data, our processes, and our people.
Yep. So we want to talk about platform risk really quickly, but before that,
What? Tell me.
this episode of the AI Convergence Podcast is brought to you by
Elite COO.
Yeah. So after everything that we just talked about, governments blacklisting AI companies, executive orders shutting down technology overnight, companies being forced to choose between ethics and survival, let me tell you why Elite COO was built the way that it was. Elite COO is the world's first AI executive assistant that protects your time, your energy, and your data. You use your own API key, you plug it in there, and that means that you control the cost. You don't pay us inflated token fees. You control the cost. It's just like pumping the gas out of the ground and putting it in your car, right? Although we know that that's not how it works. Okay, I'm just getting clear before somebody makes a comment.
What?
Military grade encryption. No token anxiety, no surprise bills, no third party deciding what you can and can't do with your own assistant.
Yes, it's not a white label wrapper. It's not built on someone else's platform.
Very important.
Yes, that's very important. Every line of code is custom built from the ground up by our founder, Nata Ponte. 30 years of entrepreneurial experience, 14 businesses, and 2 successful exits. He built it because he needed it himself.
Desperately.
Yes.
I did.
Yes, I know. Yes, you did.
I did. And I love it. And it's a vision that I had over a year and a half ago. And I'm really happy to have brought it for other business owners like yourself to use it. And also, we just came out because this has 6 personalities. We
Yes.
actually have 7.
7.
And the 7th, his name is Mateo, which is my given name. But is for our Spanish speaking friends and business owners. So you can speak to it in Spanish. It replies to you in Spanish. It replies to your emails in Spanish. It handles your tasks autonomously in Spanish. So now you can have your own Spanish speaking AI assistant, which I'm really happy about.
Hold for applause.
Yay!
Well done.
So everything, you have your CRM, your lead pipeline. It manages your Google Workspace and your Microsoft 365. And if you have both, one personal, one business, you can manage them together in the same platform. You get your morning briefings, your automated AI, SMS, reaching out, communicating with people on your behalf, taking actions on your behalf through email. Plus, NutriZen, which is another business of mine, brainwave entrainment, proprietary frequency library for focus and recovery. It's built in there. The AI helps you manage your energy, helps you manage your time. It'll queue up a box breathing session for you if you start, if it notices that your day is getting hectic, to prepare you for your next meeting. And coming will be interaction with wearables. So it can then notice your heart rate. It can actually start communicating me like, hey, I noticed after that last meeting, you had some stress. Let's see if we can help you with that.
Yes. And if you're a founding member, we have founding member pricing at $97 a month, but you can lock in for life. There's only 100 spots left available for this particular pricing point. So make sure that you sign up today. They're going fast. This is an AI assistant that works for you, not for somebody else, not the government, not an investor, and not a committee, not a board of directors, but you.
And for less than the dinner for 2 out one night a month, you can have it.
Less than a dinner for 2. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That is the average. $100.
Yeah.
Yeah. These days.
Yeah.
Even at fast food, it's like really
Yeah.
expensive.
It's insane. So elitecooai.com. That is elitecooai.com.
Yeah, get your AI executive assistant. Okay, the deep dive, platform risk in the age of AI. We've covered a lot of really
Yeah. I think we went pretty deep in the first half and we
Did
weren't
we?
supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we're gonna
You want to talk platform risk or you want to talk 5 layers?
so I think the platform risk is pretty
Obvious.
obvious. I do want to mention this here. It's what happens when your business depends on a platform you don't control, and it's not new. And this is the point I want to make.
Yeah, I
here.
guess it's not new.
Businesses have dealt with this forever. Facebook changes its algorithm, your reach drops 80% overnight. Google updates its search ranking, your traffic disappears. Amazon
And my God,
Amazon changes its seller policies and your store gets suspended. We deal with it all the time as business owners. So it's the same concept, but the stakes are higher because it's not just a marketing channel, it's becoming your core infrastructure. And so for business owners moving forward, I just kind of want to say this, put this point cleanly in your mind. Pay very close attention. I'm going to start building my business on AI, right? Or putting AI into my business. The decision that you choose, the infrastructure that you choose to power that means more than ever right now. So don't take it lightly.
yes.
Okay. So the 5-layer AI resilience framework, well, it's blazed through.
I'm like, write this down.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. I mean, it's just like when people started jumping off of building their websites over to Wix and other places where they found out later on that those companies owned your content
Yeah.
and could sell it around the world, and then for you to take it off of there and leave became such a pain in the butt to do.
Yeah.
And it's such a hard lesson to learn, but it is an important one. So these strategies are going to be important.
Yeah. Go ahead with number 1.
Sure. Never be single platform dependent. If every automation in your business runs on an AI model from one company, your one executive order or one pricing change or one outage away from a full stop, right? This doesn't mean that you need to use 5 different AI tools or 27 like I do. That's a little too much. It means that you need to know what your alternatives are. And if ChatGPT disappeared tomorrow, could you switch over to Claude or over to Gemini? What would your plan be if you needed to be platform agnostic, as they say? How long would the transition take? These businesses that were prepared for Anthropic's blacklisting are the ones that had already tested their alternatives. The ones who weren't prepared are now scrambling to figure it out. That's gotta suck right now. That's
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah. Every business owner knows the anxiety of switching CRMs
Oh my
from one
God.
platform to another.
I've done it
which
5
is
or 6 times, and
Yeah.
it's just a
It's a
nightmare.
huge pain in the butt.
Yep.
Layer 2 is own your own data always.
Always.
This is a non-negotiable. So just think about it, right? Your CRMs, your conversation history. You need to be able to export that data at any time. It's in a usable format, which is also why in Elite COO, you actually can review all of the memories that it has. You can upload them, you can download them, and take them with you. And you need to ask yourself, if the AI provider that I'm building this on shut down, will you still have access to your customer database, your leads, conversation history, your automations, the whole nine? And this is why Elite COO uses your own API key and military grade encryption, because your data lives where you put it, and so you need to be able to access that and move on with it. Layer 3, build processes, not just prompts. Most businesses are using AI as just writing prompts, right? And it's helping, it's saving time. You're getting reports done faster, you're getting content for your business faster, etc. But if your best AI workflows live in one person's ChatGPT history, it's not a process, it's a liability. And you need to,
Can you say that again?
well, yeah, I think we're sorry, I was if your okay, okay. If your best AI workflow lives in one person's chat GPT history, it's not a process,
It's a liability.
yep.
That's
And
a good quote.
yeah, and how many of us, to just kind of bring this home,
Mhm.
how many of us have spent hours in a thread, a chat GPT thread, or any, and you're like, man, I did so much great work there, but I got to move on. You go on, life happens, and then you're like, I want to go back to that, and you can't find it, right? And how frustrating that is. Well, and then you have to start all over again. So imagine that happening, right? Like, if your best AI workflow lives in one person's chat GPT history, it is not a process, it's a liability. Yeah.
So true.
Yep. So document all of your workflows, the way that you would document your business processes. What's the input? What's the output? What's the model you're using? And then if the model isn't available, what's the fallback?
And I say, I do a monthly review, like export, having it give me your monthly review of everything we've done and covered, bullet point action items, da 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 da, and then I export that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I save it in a folder somewhere else. So that eventually if something goes wrong with that thread and I can't access it or they can't remember or whatever it is, I've got an ongoing history report that I can then easily upload to a new one and get started pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So stay informed, not reactive. Layer number 4 of your risk strategy here. Stay informed, not reactive. What you see out there on the news, what you see in here with us talking about the news, those things are reactive. The hype is reactive. It isn't informing you. It's trying to get you to take action, to be scared, to be whatever. So if the Anthropic blacklisting didn't come out of nowhere, by the way, it's a standoff between that's been building for weeks. Businesses that were paying attention had time to prepare, and businesses that weren't found out from a headline, right? You don't need to be an AI expert, policy expert. to be prepared, but you do need to be aware of the major moves being made by those companies whose technology your business, your employees, your revenue depend on. That's literally why this podcast exists. So set a 15-minute weekly habit. Check what's happening with your AI providers, new pricing, new terms of service, new government regulations. These aren't just tech headlines, they're business intelligence. And I follow a number of newsletters and stuff. So perhaps what we'll do is share some of those newsletter resources to the listeners. So if they'd like to check them out, they can.
Yeah, yeah. So the CEO who needs the AI news who reads the AI news before it becomes a crisis in the CEO. I'm going to start that over again. The CEO who reads the AI news before it becomes a crisis is the CEO who keeps their business running while their competitors scramble. 15 minutes a week, and that's it.
Yeah.
So layer number 5, real quick, use AI to strengthen humans, not replace them. This is our whole ethos, why we exist. The motto, grind less, build more. That is the whole thing. AI needs to be put in its place to help you to become more human, because most of us are less human than we would like to be because all we're doing is, myself included, because all we're doing is working and it causes stress, and then we just can't be present, and we can't do the things that we love, and we can't be present in the times we want to be present. Like I there are times in my life when I walk through the world and I don't even remember, where I was. And it's due to cortisol levels, stress, it's due to you not being in the present moment, your mind being somewhere else. And AI will be able to um remove us from all that mundane stuff, right? Delegate to AI, right? We can delegate now, I would say 50, 60% to where it handles it, and it's going to keep getting better and better. But always remember, just use it to empower yourself to be more human, empower your team to be more human, not to replace. So, Anthropic story is the canary in the coal mine. Government just demonstrated that it can shut off a major AI provider with a social media post. And let's not. I guess we might have been a little doom and gloom here. Anthropic is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, let's just.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine, right? Especially with how much support they're getting from the people after this. And so I'm not. I'm definitely not saying that like, oh, government shut Anthropic down and all of you businesses be fearful and don't use them. That's not what I'm saying. You probably should go to Anthropic instead of support them instead of OpenAI now, because we know who the real people are over there. But build your business so that not one AI company or a single government decision and no single platform can take you down.
That's the eggs in one basket scenario,
Yep.
right? We've learned that lesson. We continue to learn that lesson. And with every new set of tools or changes or internet or AI, apparently we're still learning
Yep.
that lesson. It has to be repeated.
Yep. All right, some real quick honorable mentions here, because as you can imagine, there's so much that happens in the AI news and we can't cover it all, but there are some things that we think that's important. So we're just gonna rapid fire through these real quick, okay? So I'll take number 1.
All right.
OpenAI raises 110 billion. It's the largest private round in history, and it happened on the same day that Anthropic got blacklisted. Coincidence? No coincidence. Yeah, OpenAI announced 110 billion funding round at a 730 billion evaluation. Amazon put in 50 billion, Nvidia put in 30 billion, SoftBank 30 billion. For context, venture capitalists invested 170 billion into all US startups combined in 2023. OpenAI just raised more than that in one single round, and they now have 900 million weekly users. Well, probably a little less than that now. The AI arms race isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. The companies with the deepest pockets are going to set the rules. A little asterisk to that, until we all start getting our own AI and tell them to go.
Yes. Next up, online searches drop 20% after people start using ChatGPT. New research from London Business School and UCLA found that when people adopt ChatGPT, their regular online searches dropped by about 20%. And it's the highest value customers who shift fastest. If you're still building your entire marketing system and strategy around Google search, Your most valuable prospects are now increasingly going somewhere else to find their answers. And this connects directly to what we covered at our last episode about AEO, answer engine optimization.
Yep. Actually, sorry, what we're going to be covering about AEO in upcoming episodes. So last one, U.S. Senate introduces the Small Business AI Training Act. A bipartisan Senate bill, was introduced to have the Department of Commerce and SBA create AI training resources specifically for small businesses. I've actually been involved in this just last week. It includes training for AI for financial management, marketing, supply chain, government contracting, delivered through small business development centers, women's business centers, and SCORE. And this is the government literally saying small businesses need help with AI, and we're going to fund it. Keep an eye out on this one. And yeah, I was able to. I just started the Hispanic Chamber, and we did that at the SBDC. And also I did AI class training for the Women's Chamber here in Colorado Springs. So yeah, it's great because small businesses do need it.
So what's the takeaway?
All right,
What do we got?
what are we taking away? Well, a sitting president blacklisted a major AI company overnight. Whether you think Anthropic was right or wrong, the business lesson is crystal clear. You cannot build your entire operation on technology you don't control without a contingency plan. And so hopefully our 5-layer resilience framework isn't optional anymore. It's survival.
Yeah, and I think, it's now being it's the fact that we're now being put in a position that we have to choose between our business and our AI and what the government is doing. So the supply chain risk designation is especially dangerous because it can cascade. So any company that works with either the Pentagon and Anthropic now technology has to choose a side. And no government should make you choose a side between your business's success and the government. That ripple effect, by the way, could reshape the entire AI vendor ecosystem within months, guys. That's how fast this is moving, right? And then layer two, you own your data. Like Matt said, you really do need to make sure you've gone through your systems to ensure that you own your own data. How are you ensuring that? What's your strategy behind it? Is the one he's acting on immediately? He's going to audit every AI tool in the business use this week and make sure they can export their data on 24 hours notice.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't export in 24 hours notice.
Yeah. What's the time frame? Have you ever
Mhm.
tested that out?
Okay, well, so if this episode didn't make you think or rethink your AI strategy,
Then you don't have one.
yeah.
There's no, or you're not using AI.
I don't know what will.
Right.
So make sure you share this with every business owner you know. Who's using AI tools and hasn't thought about what happens when those tools get caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
And so yeah, next time we are going in a completely different direction, and you're gonna have to listen to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care of your data and your teams, guys. The world is always shifting and we're here to help as much as we can. We really do care about you and your business being successful, especially when you're using AI.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.